Thank you for selecting our video. Today we are in Barcelona. We'll be checking out Segrada Familia, the Gothic Quarter, Casa Batllo, Sant Pao Hospital Museum, and Parc Güel.
This is the Airbnb that we stayed in. We booked it for 7 nights, but we only stayed for 6. The cost was $1,188 US. It was 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. It had a balcony, but we never were able to use it because it rained a lot there during our time. It also had a washer, which is really important for us when traveling that long of a time. We never used the kitchen, but we did use the fridge to put cold waters in. Our first stop is Segrada Familia. The tickets for us ran us about $50 US each. It was constructed in 1882. It's still under construction, expected to be completed in the late 2020s to 2030s. Segrada Familia is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, one of the best examples of modernist architect. Gaudi took over the project in 1883, a year after it began, and transformed it into his life's work. He combined Gothic verticality with organic form inspired by nature, creating something utterly unique. When completed, it will have 18 towers, 12 representing the apostles, 4 the evangelist, 1 for Virgin Mary, and the tallest for Jesus Christ. The outside of Segrada Familia has 3 different facades. The first one is an activity facade, which is joyful and ornate. The theme is the birth of Jesus, full of life, nature, and joy completed during Gaudi's lifetime. Number 2 was the Passion facade, suffering and the death of Christ, showing Christ's suffering. The third was Glory facade, will be the main entrance, the largest and most ambitious, still under construction. Jesus' resurrection, path to heaven, and final judgment.
The interior is designed to feel like a sacred forest, columns shaped like tree trunks branching out as they rise. Materials vary by height and strength. Mostly basalt and granite were used. Vaulted ceilings mimic leafy canopies. Hyperboloid geometry used for light diffusion. Natural light floods the space through the stained glass windows that shift in color with the sun. Cool tones in the morning, warm tones in the evenings. Gaudi's visions and innovations. Gaudi developed the complex geometric forms like the hyperboloids and the paraboloids and the heliosoids. He also innovated with natural light, skylights, and stained glass. Columns branch out like trees to support the weight of the vaults.
Construction challenges and timeline projects had some setbacks. Gaudi's death, he died in 1926. He was hit by a tram. Who knew? With less than 25% of the basilica finished. The Spanish Civil War from 1936 to 39, many models and documents were destroyed. The modern era, construction resumed with help from computers and digital modeling. As of 2024, the Tower of the Apostles and the Evangelists and the Virgin Mary have been completed. The final step is the Tower of Jesus Christ, the tallest and most central one. Although a tourist magnet, it's first and foremost a Roman Catholic church. Pope Benedict XVI consecrated it as a basilica in 2010. My experience inside, I thought the music that played was very angelic. I thought it was beautiful with the surroundings and the stained glass, the architect, everything. Now, let me tell you something. This is a place I never thought in my lifetime I would ever see. I've seen pictures of it, but I never thought that I would personally experience it. So this is something that I will have as a memory forever. This experience was just once in a lifetime, and I would suggest that if anybody ever gets a chance to go there, to do it for sure, because you won't regret it.
For me, this is probably the most stunningly beautiful building I've ever been in. You just kept looking around, just staring in amazement at all of the detail in this. It seems like nothing was left untouched. There's detail everywhere you look. The way that the light from the stained glass window kind of reflects onto and bounces off the internal architecture is just amazing. Next up, we are in the Gothic Quarter, which is very close to the cruise port where our cruise ship came in. The Gothic Quarter is the historic center of the old city of Barcelona. It stretches from La Rambla to La Vietana and from the Mediterranean seafront to La Ronda de Saint-Pierre. It is part of the Ciutat Vella district. The quarter encompasses the oldest parts of the city of Barcelona and includes the remains of the city's Roman wall and several notable medieval landmarks. Much of the present-day fabric of the quarter, however, dates to the 19th and early 20th centuries. El Kal, the medieval Jewish quarter, is located within this area along the former Synagogue Major. The Barri Gothic retains a labyrinth street plan with many small streets opening into squares. Most of the quarter is closed to regular traffic, although open to service vehicles and taxis.
So this is a traditional treat when you are in Spain. This is a hot chocolate, and it's like a hot chocolate pudding. You see how thick it is? And it comes with churros. And Mark and I had this 10 years ago when we visited Spain. And I'm telling you, it is to die for. If you ever get a chance, try it. So you take your churro, you dip it in your hot chocolate pudding, take a bite of it. That is so good. And if you have any chocolate left over, just scoop it up and eat it out of the cup. It's very yummy. I say if you have a chance to try this when you're in Spain, do it. I don't know if it's all over Spain. I know when Mark and I were in Madrid and Malaga, we had it. So the pizzas and the desserts that you see were in the same little store, little restaurant that we went into to have the hot chocolate and the churros. Personally, I wouldn't waste my time on these other delicacies that you see here. Do the churros and the hot chocolate. And then if you have room, try one or two of these and see how that pans out for you.
And now we are back out on the street off of that sugar high from the hot chocolate and churros that Paulette and I have been dreaming about for about 10 years or so now. Well worth the wait. This is the Barcelona Cathedral. It's also known as the Cathedral de Holy Cross and St. Eulalia. It took over 200 years to complete. Construction began in 1298 in the Catalan Gothic style, but the facade wasn't finished until the late 1800s in the neo-Gothic style. Explore the vast interior with its 5 soaring aisles and its intricate stained glass.
I think the tickets that we bought were either $15 or $20 each. The cathedral is dedicated to the martyr Santa Eulalia, the patron saint of Barcelona. She was tortured to death and her body is buried under the high altar, and she is always celebrated on February 12th. And she was 13 years old.
You wouldn't know it, but this is the doorway to head to the outer courtyard where we are headed next.
The outer courtyard of the Barcelona Cathedral is a significant part of the cathedral complex, featuring a charming garden with palm trees and a pond with geese. This courtyard was built in the 14th century, is easily accessible from the cathedral doors. This is the most famous bridge in Barcelona. It's called the Pont de Bisbe. We were passing a dental office when I had to take this picture.
Next up, we're headed to another one of Gaudi's creations, Casa Batllo. This is the first thing that you walk into once you enter the casa. It's not just a building, it's a living, breathing piece of art. Locals often call it the House of Bones because of its skeletal features, but there's so much more to this iconic landmark. The cost was 50 euros each to get in, and for that, Paulette and I also got the ticket that had the audio as well. The building was reimagined in 1904 to 1906. It's a renovation of an existing building built in 1877. The style is Catalan modernism, Art Nouveau with Gaudi's unmistakable organic touch. It is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Casa Batllo is pure fantasy. There are almost no straight lines. Everything curves. glows and seems alive. There is amazing architectural detail everywhere here. It's a multi-storied building, and every room, everywhere you look, there's some minute detail to some grand detail. It's really an amazing place. Just look at all the curvature of the wood, the walls. There are literally no straight lines. There are a lot of blues, greens, and purples reminiscent of underwater scenes. This is a central light well, tiled in varying shades of blue to reflect and distribute light like an underwater shaft. Inside of the Casa Batllo, it is a marvel of design. Gaudi collaborated with many of the best artisans of the time, working with wrought iron, wood, stained glass, ceramic tiles, stone ornaments, among others. When touring the house, its details never cease to amaze. Doors leading into different apartments are identified by letters with the modernist traits. The windows of each landing distort the tiles in the light well. The doorknobs and banisters have ergonomic shapes that flow really well. Here we are on the rooftop terrace, which is dominated by what is popularly known as the Dragon's Back, which characterizes the facade and which has been represented by Gaudi with different colored tiles. However, the main focal point of the roof terrace are the 4 crooked and polychrome chimney stacks designed to prevent backdrafts. Once again, the beauty and functionality are brought together in the most beautiful and emblematic house of Catalan modernism. I can't help but marvel at the craftsmanship involved here everywhere you look. Here's a different look at the light well. It just has a different look and feel based on whatever floor that you're on at the time. And like most attractions, it does have a gift shop where you can purchase some very nice items for quite a bit of money, but it's worth the look around anyway. After touring the house, you could check out this show. It was totally immersive. It was happening on the floors, walls, ceilings. You were completely surrounded by it. It was pretty cool. Gaudi's Dreams proposes a journey through the imaginary tunnels of Gaudi's mind, a dream of the architect in which all of his works are connected. These are just a few clips. The show went on for several minutes.
They tell you before the show starts that it is not recommended for people with motion sickness or those prone to vertigo.
Next up, Sant Pao Hospital. The tour of the hospital Sant Pao ran us about $27 for the two of us. It's located just a few blocks northeast of Segrada Familia, easy walking distance. The architect is Luis Dominici y Montaner, one of Gaudi's top contemporaries. Built in 1902 to 1930, it is in this Catalan modern like Art Nouveau, but distinctly local. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There is a lot of red brickwork, domed roofs, colorful tiles, stained glass sculptures, and intricate ironwork. It has therapeutic gardens. The entire complex is surrounded by open courtyards and gardens. This was intentional. Nature was part of the healing process. Patients could see light, flowers, in the sky from their beds. Art everywhere, sculptures of saints, allegories of science and medicine. Mosaics and tiles tell stories of healing, charity, and hope. Even ceilings and doorways are beautifully designed. Why is it so special? It was originally designed as a fully functioning hospital, and it remained one until 2009, but it wasn't just about healing the body. The idea was to heal the spirit through beauty, color, nature, and peace. The hospital that looked like a palace or a garden That was the radical idea. Now it's a cultural and historical museum, beautifully restored and open to the public. The modernist architecture, made up of pavilion-style buildings, each with its own design and function, surgical, maternity, infectious disease, etc., connected by underground tunnels, and yes, you can walk through some, as Paulette and I did.
The clinic complex was declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1997 due to its architectural uniqueness and artistic beauty.
I was truly amazed by the size and scope of this hospital complex. It was truly amazing. Walking through the underground tunnels to go from one building to the next was also pretty cool. But the amazing brickwork, the architecture, the art was just fantastic. The entire compound is comprised of 27 buildings. We were not able to enter all of them, but we did enter several of them.
The hospital grounds sits on 14.5 hectares, 35.8 acres of land. I thought walking through this hospital was amazing. You're back in the 1920s, 1930 era. This was a x-ray machine that you just saw. The buildings, the architect was just amazing. Each of them were a little bit different than the previous building. And the grounds were just phenomenal. I could see why they think that had a lot to do with healing, nature and the beauty and the greenery and being outside. If you're ever in Barcelona and you get a chance to go there. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a 10 to 15 minute walk from Segrada Familia. Next up, Parc Güel. The park is one of the most fantastic, colorful, and dreamlike places in Barcelona you will ever see. A surreal blend of nature, architect, and art, all imagined by the genius Gaudi. It's not just a park, it's like stepping into a living fairy tale. It was built in 1900 to 1914. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Originally intended as a luxury residential development, the park was designed to host 60 homes in a private garden city. Only 2 houses were ever built, and the project flopped as a real estate venture. But what survived is a public park filled with Gaudi's creative magic, and it is now one of Barcelona's most beloved landmarks. It covers approximately 17.18 hectares, approximately 43 acres. Out of this, around 12 hectares, 29.6 acres, are publicly accessible today, including the famous Monumental Zone, which contains the iconic mosaic, serpentine bench, and the dragon staircase. My final thoughts about visiting Barcelona is it has magnificent sights to see. If you ever get a chance to go to Barcelona, please check out these areas. I think that you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, I really liked it. We'd been looking forward to going to Barcelona for quite some time, and this really met all of my expectations for sure. Just an amazing sight to see. Thank you for watching. We hope you'll consider liking and subscribing the video from the 2 travelers in Mexico.